Hey everybody, it's Doc Green, the Road Scholar, coming back at you. Enough of politics today. I want to talk about trucking. Get back into that subject a little bit. So anyway, here's the deal. Been having a lot of questions. People still asking me about oil fields and everything. I've been out of the oil fields for over a year now, but people are still looking at some of my old videos and asking me about the oil fields. I do keep in contact with some of my friends and stuff that were in the oil fields and some people that are still there. And I'm going to tell you like what I'm hearing. Here's the situation. The oil fields are slow right now. Maybe it's because of COVID. The demand around the world has went down. Traffic is slowing down. Everything. Right now, the oil fields are slow. Oil and gas. Does that mean it will be forever? No, it won't. It'll go back up. Will it go back up to what it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago? I don't know. Can you still make more money in the oil fields than you can over the road? Mm, at this point, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I see a lot of my friends out here that some would say they're making good money. Some say they are just sitting at wells waiting. So I don't really know at this point. But here's the thing. If I don't see a whole lot of posts about how great it is out in the oil fields, that usually means it's not so great in the oil fields. But I will talk to you guys a little bit about the oil fields. And if I go back, when I go back, this will be how or why. First of all, I will never go back to an oil field where I'm driving someone else's truck. Not going to do it. Um, Unless it's an individual's truck and I check and I have verified with other drivers in the past that he or she has had in the past, and they have paid on time and they have taken care of their truck. Other than that, you're going to get out there and you're going to get stuck in a truck that breaks down on time, or you're not going to get paid on time. It happens all the time. The oil field is full of scammers. Even the trucking companies that run in the oil fields, the sandbox companies and stuff, are mostly, to be honest with you, they're mostly rip-off con artists. I don't care how big they are or how long they say they've been there. If you look out there, you've been to work for them. Most of them are rip-offs. They don't pay on time. They want to. You don't get demurs. And the demurs, to be honest with you, is not the fracking company or the sand truck hauling company's fault. That's more of Halliburton. Halliburton realizes there's so many people trying to get into the oil fields that there's no reason for them to offer demurs anymore. So they don't, and that's how these companies are getting it. They keep companies go in to talk to Halliburton to get the contracts, and they'll offer Halliburton, "Oh, we won't charge you demurrage." Well, that's great for the company because they still get paid on every load. Meanwhile, you're stuck at an oil well or a gas well that has been broken down for a day and a half, 2 days, and can't move, and you've gotten paid zero for that entire time. Now, when the oil fields are moving hard and there's a lot of business going on, it's different. I can afford to be down for 24, 36 hours and still make a lot of money because we're going to be hustling the rest of the week. Right now, it's not like that. It's too slow. There's not enough work going on in the oil fields at this time. Uh, the politics on that is if you vote for Biden, you will be voting yourself out of a job. That's all I'm going to talk about the politics on that, and Biden admits it. But anyway, that's about all the political part of that. Right now, what you got to worry about is getting past COVID. If you do go to the oil fields now and you are happy making a 900, 800, $1,000, whatever you're going to be making in the oil fields right now, I don't even know. Some people say they're not making hardly anything. Some people claim they're making $2,000 or $3,000 a week. $2,000 or $3,000 a week is not enough money for me to go out there and tear up my truck in the oil fields. Now, if I was making what I was making when I left the oil fields, which was about $6,000 a week, that's different. I will go out there for that. But that's about, I'll go down to 5,000, but I'm not going to go less than 5,000 a week in the oil fields because you're going to have to do a lot of work on your truck out in the oil fields. Them roads are not like you think. They are not just a little bitty dirt road. And those roads are tore up, destroyed. You're going to tear your truck up. You're going to get stuck in mud. You're going to rip the plastic bumpers off if you got those. You're going to do all kinds of damage. Your suspension system is going to go to crap out in the oil fields. You're going to get dirt and everything in your filters, up in your motor. There's no way to keep it out. I mean, I don't care what people say tape this, whatever. No, you're going to need to make at least $5,000 a week to keep running and make a decent living and a good living out in the oil fields. If you're making any less than that, you don't need to be there. Now, if you still want to go out there and you want because it's close to home, whatever, that's up to you. I'm not doing it. But if it ever kicks back up to where it's making 5 to 6 thousand a week, yes, I will go to the oil fields. Will I go out there with a truck I owe money on? No, I will not. Will I go out there inside this 2017 KW? No, I will not. I will go to an auction. I will buy some junk piece of crap truck that I don't mind getting tore up because that's what's going to happen to it. And then I will go work in the oil fields because I do not mind tearing up a $15,000 to $20,000 truck. I am not going to go out there and tear up a $40,000 or $50,000 truck. It's not worth it. I can keep these trucks out here on the main road, on the over the road, making money. I can put them with intermodal, having making money. I can put them on with a company, having making money. I can get my own authority and make having making money. But to sit there and send them to the oil fields, no, I'm not going to do that. Not with the newer, anything that's less than 2 years old. I'm not sending to the oil field. Is there a when will it be good in the oil fields again? There's no telling. The first thing we're going to have to do is get this COVID freak out thing over with because as long as COVID is out here, you are not going to make money in the oil field because there's just not a demand or that large of a demand for fuel. Now, a lot of people look at the fuel prices and say, well, it's $2 a gallon. Yeah, that's because we got a huge supply and not a big demand. So, when you start seeing the oil prices go back up, gas prices go back up, fuel prices go back up, that's when you start heading back to the oil fields. Not now. Um, that's just the way it is. I mean, people could argue with it. That's fine. You have your own opinion about it, that's fine. I'm just telling you from my experience. Now, is it worth it in the oil fields if you own your own truck? Even then, it may not be worth going out there. If I send my trucks back out there or I send any trucks back to the oil fields, I'm going to have my own chassis to carry the boxes because I am not going to spend a lot of my time. Here's what they do in the oil field. You get a truck, you go get a chassis, you do a couple of loads, and they tell you bring the chassis back to the yard. You got to switch out with somebody else. You waste all this time. They go out, they work. They may or may not bring the chassis back for you when you're ready to go back to work. It's a big mess. But that's the way Halliburton wants it done. They want their chassis shared. They want to run 24 hours a day. Even though, to be honest with you, whenever I had my chassis with Halliburton, I ran more loads by myself than two drivers sharing a chassis. Halliburton can't see that for some reason. I don't know. And your company has no control over that. That's what Halliburton makes them do. So before I go back out to the oil fields, I will have my own truck and my own chassis so I do not have to switch out and trade out and I can drive the way I want to drive and make the money that I need to make. Uh, Anything else about the oil fields I need to put out there? But I'm just doing this quick one about the oil fields because so many people keep asking me about they're watching old videos about whenever I was doing really well out in the oil fields or doing pretty well out in the oil fields, and they keep asking more questions about the oil fields. I guess a lot of people are getting frustrated out here. They don't feel like they're making enough money. They go watch some videos or look at some web pages or stories, and they hear about all this money being made in the oil fields. And if you talk to anyone that has been out there for a while, and some of the guys that watch these videos that were with us out in the oil fields, they could comment on here. You will find out that it is nowhere near what it was in the past. Not right now. And even when I got in the oil field, I was at the. A lot of truck drivers made fun of me because they couldn't believe I was out there working for $5,000 or $6,000 a week. And I had one week $6,800, $7,000, and they were laughing at me, going, "Wow, I can't believe you're out there tearing up your truck for that little bit of money." And I'm thinking, "Wow, what were y'all making before?" Some of these guys are making over 10 grand a week. Over 10 grand a week. They're not doing that now. So those guys are no longer in the oil fields. Guys I thought would never leave the oil fields have left because it's just not there. There's no money to be made out there right now. So that's where I stand on the oil fields. Um, if you're going to go out there on your own, do not go out there with a truck you have to make payments on because you will be in trouble. Oh, another thing, before you go to the oil fields, even if you own your own truck and you have your own chassis, you need to have about 10 to 15,000 in the bank to fix your and repair your truck when things go wrong. Otherwise, you're going to be out there sitting in front of your truck complaining and bitching and listening to other truck drivers bitch because no, they're not making enough money to stay out there because they were not properly prepared to go out there. So that's the first thing as far as the business part of the oil fields goes. Another part of the oil fields is a lot of guys want to go out for a week, go home for a week, go out for 2 weeks, come home for a week, whatever. That's not the way the oil fields work. If you're going to go work the oil fields, you better be prepared. Your families better be prepared for you to be gone for a while if you really want to make money. The drivers that were most successful out there, like myself, were those of us that would head out there for a month, month and a half, 2 months at a time before we go home for a few days, maybe a week if we stretched it. That's not the way to make money out in the oil fields. You need to be that's you got to remember that's one of those grab it while you can because it's not going to be there forever. So make sure that you and your family are ready for the time commitment. Um, you're going to get out there a lot. I see guys that invite their wives down and they go out there, especially the young guys. Now this part of the video is for the young guys. I see a lot of young guys out in the oil fields get out there. They make a good paycheck, and they invite their wife down for the weekend. And we were in Shreveport, so they take their girlfriends or wives to the casino, and they go out here and buy Gucci bags and these jeans with designs on the back of them, and shoes that are, the girls will be wearing shoes that cost $300, $400, $500 a pair. I mean, they're styling and profiling, and then no one was putting any money away. And then I see guys down in Odessa, Midland Odessa area, buying houses, getting their family down there with them and everything. And they're buying trucks, driving up in these big old 4x4s with the tires that are taller than our semis and all of this stuff. And then when it dried up, a lot of these guys went bankrupt. They couldn't get out of their house. They couldn't even sell it do a short sell on because there was no market for it. Everyone was leaving the oil fields. No one could afford the payments on their houses. No one could afford the payments on their trucks. No one could afford the payments on their wives and all this fancy stuff they've been buying them. And they went bankrupt. A lot of these guys, and you can see the news stories if you go back and look, were crying. I mean, the houses were getting foreclosed on. They couldn't even afford enough money to go back home and rent a house where they came from. I mean, they had just went out here, blew their money. They thought it was going to be forever. And they always thought, well, it's going to last a week. It's going to be another week. It's going to be another 2 or 3 weeks, before it'd be at least 6 months before this goes bad. And you don't know what happens in the oil fields. So, guys, if you're going to the oil fields, you got to realize you go out there for one reason and one reason only: stack your cash, not make a bunch of cash and go try to showboat. If you do, it will bite you in the ass. There's no politically correct way of saying that. It will bite you in the ass. If you go out there in a truck that is not yours and you don't own it, and you get out there and you get the oil field crashes, that trucking the finance company doesn't care. They want their payments. The place where you bought that new truck doesn't care. They want their payments. The mortgage company doesn't care. They want their payments. And you will find yourself in a world of hurt. I watched people that were out there making $200,000-$300,000 a year walk out of there with nothing. Nothing. Couldn't even put enough fuel in their big old pickup truck to get back to where they were from. So, guys, watch that. Big thing for the oil field guys. Stack your cash, save your money. You need to be on the debt-free lifestyle. If you're out there, you need to be if you went out there, you need to have a plan before you go. This is the kind of house I want. This is the kind of car I want. I don't want to be in any debt. Get out of debt. That's the first thing you should do if you get to go out there making that kind of money, is to get out of debt. Get your butt so you don't owe anyone anything. Then you can concentrate on, I want to buy a house. But you don't go buy a car and pay big down payment and payments on it. You save up your money because you're making enough money in the oil fields to go buy that car cash. Make enough money so that whenever you go buy a house, if you can't buy a house with at least 30 to 40% down, I know people say 20, that's fine with them. If you can't do 30 or 40% down and you do not have 6 months emergency fund built up, then you do not go buy a house. You wait till you got enough money in the bank to make your down payment, pay all closing costs, and you still have enough money in the bank to run 6 months. People say 3 months. I'm telling you, no, 6 months before you go buy a house. And then a lot of people trying to buy houses down in that area, um, those houses are overpriced during an oil spike. So do not do that. You know, I have to have my family with me. Then you're not ready for the oil field. Leave. Go back over the road so you go visit your family every few weeks. Go back doing regional or something to make your little, $1,000 paychecks or whatever. You are not ready for the oil fields if you have to have your family down there, or you have to have your head up your wife's butt. I see some drivers down there were like that. Their head was so far up their wife's butt, she took a quick right turn and break their neck. Calling home all the time, and oh, I get it. I call home, miss my wife too, and everything. But that, like I said, you got to be ready to make that sacrifice before you decide to go to the oil fields. Trying to bring your whole family down there, and you're putting your kids in the schools down there, and everything. First of all, the schools are overcrowded during the peak seasons, or during the spikes, oil booms, or whatever you want to call it. The schools are overcrowded because everybody's doing the same thing. And then whenever it dries up, all the kids are down there in the school that can barely afford to stay open, can't afford to rent or anything. So guys, make sure that that's what you want to do. Make sure you're willing to give up the time. Make sure if you go down there and you do buy a house, that you have 6 months worth of money in the bank to make those house payments, grocery bills, electric payments, insurance, and maintenance on your cars and all that stuff before you buy a house down there. And I only say it because, guys, I feel sorry. I mean, I had a friend of mine, man, I love that guy to death. I really did. And when I watched him go through what he was going through, I was like, it hurt my feelings. I felt bad for him. I didn't know how to help him. So anyway, that's my advice on the oil fields. Just a quick update on that video. Some of you guys are going to say which company to go to work for. Doesn't matter. They all suck. They're all scum buckets. They're all scum bags. So make sure that you are, you know, protecting yourself. Make sure if they're late on one payment, you do not move that truck for another load until they get you paid. And we had that problem down there with the company, and literally we had to start. I got kind of trouble. Well, sales trouble. That's not really it. I got ticked off when I woke up one day and my check wasn't in my direct deposit like it was supposed to. And they were talking about 3 or 4 more days or wait until Monday. We were supposed to get paid on Friday, and I went stupid. And all the truck drivers, we all got together and we literally started shutting down trucks. That's what we had to do to get our money. That's how bad some of these companies are out here. We had to start shutting down trucks and not moving a grain of sand until they got us paid. And when Halliburton got wind of it, because Halliburton pays them on time, Halliburton got wind of it, called that company up. Guess what? They got us paid because they almost lost their contract on that well. So, guys, if you're out there and you know a bunch of y'all are sitting around talking, y'all figure out that company's starting to screw you over or they start messing around with your money, shut it down. Talk to the other drivers. Here's the thing, oh, well, they'll just fire you and hire somebody else. No, they won't. No, they won't. They will get you paid because they got to get that sand moving that minute. They don't have a day or two or time to get anyone through drug testing and everything. They got to get that sand rolling now. They will get you paid within hours because they have to have you moving. Well, then they'll just fire me afterwards. I wish they'd try. I will sue the crap out. And we did. Here's what happened. All of us, we had to band together. So when they threatened one driver, we all would shut down again. No, you're not threatening us. We run this. You're just a money transfer point. You don't let those companies run you out there because they're nothing but shysters running those companies, and they will screw you over every chance they get. But when all of us drive, and all of the drive, we had drivers in West Texas, we had drivers in East Texas, we had drivers in Louisiana, and we started communicating with each other all the way across. If one driver in West Texas didn't get his check and he called in to me or a couple of other drivers, we got on the internet, we got on Facebook, we got on Messenger to all the drivers, start shutting them down until this man gets his paid, until this man can feed his family because he's out here running with us. We don't move another grain of sand. That's what we had to do. We almost unionized on them. And given it, had I stayed out there another month or two, I think we would have. We would have formed a union. I know a lot of truck drivers don't believe in unions, but there is a time and place for them. When the companies are screwing you, you got to do something. And we did almost unionize on them. And but yeah, that's what we did. We and then if one of us didn't get paid out in West Texas, or Shreveport, we call out to West Texas, trucks out there start shutting down with us. So they think, oh, well, we might have to get this well covered a little bit. We have to call in, because they will. They'll call in some of them other companies, them other shyster brothers of theirs that they go party with on weekends, and they'll help them cover a run until they get some drivers in there to replace you because you refuse to drive. So what you have to do is you have to shut them all down. Heck, we even had other companies starting to shut down on them. Tuttle and Tuttle had drivers calling us up. Since we didn't get paid, and Tuttle knew they were starting to get screwed around a little bit in 1845, same thing. We had truckers from those companies shutting down with us, and we do the same for them. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to look forward to in the oil fields. So just beware. Anyway, I'm out. Y'all have a good one.